Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Woodpecker's Deep Dive. My name is Jeff Ferris. Welcome to my shop. Today, we are going to take a closer look at Woodpecker's Pocket T-Squares. Now, just about exactly a year ago, we had a deep dive where we compared the Pocket Tees to our Saddle T-Squares. Today, we're just going to take a look at the Pocket Tees, but I'm also going to talk about some tips and tricks on using these tools that apply to not just the Pocket Tees and the Saddle Tees, but also our full-size T-Squares. Okay, let's get started. Now, what I like about the Pocket Tee is that it is a little bit smaller than the Saddle Tee. It works really, really nicely with thinner stock because the shoulder is not as deep as the Saddle Tee. And so, it's just a little bit more convenient for smaller type work. At the same time, it isn't limited to smaller work because it works just as well on an 1.5 inch white oak. So you'll also notice that the edge is beveled at 30 degrees. What that does is bring the scale right down close to the stock, so when you're trying to measure something, it's very easy to see exactly where your line goes. Now, another thing I like with the Pocket Tee is it's just very handy, particularly the little 3-inch, is very handy to have around to use to measure the thickness of material. I can just drop this on the edge, press against it, and see exactly where you are. Now, one of the things that is common to a lot of woodpeckers' tools are our scribing guides. Now, these are fantastic, but they are a little tricky to use. I'm going to give you some ideas today on how to get the most out of them. Another thing about the Pocket Tees and the Saddle Tees, our scribing guides are on 1/32 inch centers. On our full-size products, those are on 1/16 inch centers. So that's another nice feature of the smaller squares. Now, the idea here is that the holes are marked and we can drop a pencil in there and we can scribe along and get a perfectly parallel line to the edge. Where people struggle is they're breaking lead. And usually when people break lead, the biggest culprit is the fact that they're using a tiny pencil and they're holding it at an angle and the grain of the wood. We're going to look at all three of those situations. When you are using the scribing guides, the best trick I can teach you is to hold your pencil as straight up and down as you can while you make that mark. If your pencil is straight up and down, it stands a much better chance of making that line perfectly. The other thing is, what I used right there is a 0.7 millimeter lead pencil. As far as I'm concerned, that is the smallest that I can work with. Most mechanical pencils are a 0.5 lead, and I just snap them off very, very quickly. The one that Woodpecker sells I like very much too, and that is a 0.9 millimeter. So the other issue is the grain structure of the wood. I've got a piece of red oak here that's a very open grain stock. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to have a problem here. Even if I go straight up and down, see right there and right there again, my pencil tip is falling down into one of those open pores. And if I keep at it, I'm going to break my lead. Okay? So the obvious answer is don't use open grain woods. That's not a very good answer. Let's take a look at what we can really do. And we're going to have to sand that stock sometime anyway, so why not give it a little bit now? If I come in here and I just sand the surface of that stock where I'm going to want that mark, just a little bit. Now, those nasty little grain holes are much smaller and my scribing goes a lot smoother. Now, if we have a nice closed grain piece of maple, that is one where you're not going to see a problem anytime. Now, if you prefer to work in metric, the Pocket Tees are also available with metric graduations, and on the metric ones, the scribing guides are 1 millimeter apart. So, whether you prefer inch or metric, we've got you covered. Hey folks, thanks so much for watching today. I hope you learned something about our Pocket Tees If you would like to see the deep dive where we compared the pocket tees to the saddle tees, there's a link right there that'll take you straight to that video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. That way you'll know about every one of our great videos right when they come out. We'll see you next time on Deep Dive.